What's up, everyone? You are tuned into episode 210 of the Idiotic Sports Talk. I'm your host, Liam Gavin, coming to you live from my bedroom, and today I'm giving you all the Week 15 recap. Now listen up. Keep your ears peeled because we had a lot going down this week. We had historic blowout for the ages, couple of overtime thrillers. We witnessed teams punch their ticket to the playoffs while other teams are packing their bags as they got eliminated from playoff contention. And just so much more. So buckle up and be ready because we got a lot to go over. We'll start the Thursday game. Raiders beat the Chargers 63-21. The rookie Aiden O'Connell, 248 passing, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Devontae Adams, 8 catches for 101 and a touchdown. Jacoby Myers had a receiving and passing touchdown. The rookie Trey Tucker with 2 touchdown catches. The rookie tight end Michael Mayer with a touchdown catch. And Zamir White with a rushing touchdown. As for the Chargers, Easton Stick, 257 passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, 2 fumbles. Josh Palmer, 4 catches for $113 and a score. And the rookie Quentin Johnston with a touchdown catch. So murder on live TV is what we witnessed on Thursday. The Raiders destroy their division rival to go 6-8. And it was over by halftime. The score was 42-0. It was an absolute massacre. The Raiders offense, 348 total, 124 on the ground, 9-16 on third down, no turnovers, just a flawless victory. And Aiden O'Connell looked like Peyton Manning out there. They had 7 total touchdowns on offense, 5 passing, 2 rushing. And did I mention they scored 63 points? Absolutely historic. The defense had 3 sacks, 1 pick six, 3 fumbles, 1 was returned for a touchdown, and 2 touchdowns by the defense resulted in 9 touchdown total for the Raiders. And you can't forget about the special teams scoring a fumble on a punt return that set up the offense for a touchdown. Just so much happened in this game, and the Raiders defense and special teams combined for 5 total turnovers. They had themselves a game. As for the Chargers, they didn't have a game. No Justin Herbert, no Keenan Allen, so I expected them to lose this game, but not like this. Sure, the offense had 349 total, but they ran for 92 yards, but majority of those stats came in garbage time. The offense had 4 total turnovers. Easton Stick had 3 of them, and 2 of those turnovers turned into 14 points. They trailed 63-7 at one point to start the fourth quarter. They were down 56 points at a point in this game. Just absolutely embarrassing. And if you're their defense, they had a sack, but they couldn't force a turnover, and they allowed 49 points. The Chargers, they may have brutally gotten beaten, but they have to rejoice because their head coach, Brandon Staley, has been fired after the game. Should have been gone a long time ago, and I'm sure they're happy. Chargers are now 5-9 on the season. Let's go into the Saturday games. The Bengals beat the Vikings 27-24 in overtime. Jake Browning, 324 passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. T. Higgins, 4 catches for 61 yards and 2 scores. And Joe Mixon with a rushing touchdown. Nick Mullins for the Vikings, 303 passing, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Ty Chandler had 132 rushing and a score. The rookie Jordan Addison had 6 catches for 111 and 2 touchdowns. And Justin Jefferson, 7 catches for 84 yards. So the Bengals come back from a 14-point deficit in the fourth quarter. They force OT to get the win. They are now 8-6. They've won their 3rd straight game. The offense had 404 total yards. They ran for 80 yards. They outscored the Vikings 24-7 in the fourth quarter and overtime. And they came up big in the fourth and overtime as well. Converted a 4th and goal. That was a touchdown. T. Higgins, in the last 40 seconds of the game, had an amazing extension with his arm over the pylon for a touchdown that forced overtime. And in overtime, they completed some huge third downs for the game-winning field goal. Jake Browning's looking more and more comfortable out there every time he plays. And despite the defense giving up close to 450 yards, they had 3 sacks. They also had 2 huge interceptions inside of their 25-yard line, one occurring in the end zone. So they definitely prevented some potential points being scored, and their hopes of the playoffs are alive and well. Jake Browning is him. He's doing really good for this squad. As for the Vikings, they blew the 14-point lead in the fourth. The offense, 446 total. They ran pretty good for 143, but they ran out of gas in the fourth quarter and overtime. They also had the worst tush-push known to man. It was 4th and 1, and it was just a questionable call by Kevin O'Connell to to send Nick Mullins for the sneak when you have Ty Chandler running the ball very well. And the 2 picks by Nick Mullins inside of the Bengals 25 really hurt them, as they could have gotten a minimal of 6 points. The defense had 5 sacks, 1 pick, but just like the offense, they ran out of gas down the stretch. And the Vikings should have won, but they made too many mistakes, and now they are 7-7. The next game, Colts beat the Steelers 30-13. Gardner Minshew, 215 passing, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Zach Moss had a receiving touchdown, but left with an injury. Mo Alley Cox with a touchdown catch, and DJ Montgomery with a touchdown catch. Mitch Trubisky of the Steelers, 169 passing, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, and a rushing touchdown. Deontay Johnson, 4 catches, 62 yards, and a touchdown. So after trailing 13-0 early in the second quarter, the Colts outscored the Steelers 30-0 for the rest of the game. They are now 8-6, and Minshew and the offense was clicking. 385 yards, the ground game with 170. They didn't turn the ball over. As for the defense, 4 sacks, 2 picks, 1 fumble. They gave up less than 250 yards for 13 points. And in the beginning of the season, there's no way I would have thought the Colts would have 8 wins and potentially secure a playoff spot along with the AFC South. They've been a pleasant surprise team this year. As for the Steelers, disappointing. 13-0 lead was quickly erased as the offense and defense were horrible. The offense, 246 total yards. Bad game running the ball with 74 rushing yards. 4-12 on third down. They had 3 total turnovers and just 13 points total. I get Kenny Pickett is out and Mitch Trubisky is in, but the offense was bad with Kenny Pickett anyway, so maybe the former offensive coordinator Matt Canada, who was fired a month ago, wasn't the true problem. And let's not forget, the Steelers had 8 penalties for 110 yards. The defense had 3 sacks. They couldn't force a turnover and were gashed against the run. The Steelers lose their 3rd straight game. They are now 7-7, and they're starting to slip out of playoff contention in the AFC. The final Saturday game, Lions beat the Broncos 42-17. Jared Goff, 278 passing, 5 touchdowns, no picks. The rookie Jahmyr Gibbs, 100 rushing yards, a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 7 catches for 112 and a touchdown. And the rookie Sam Laporta, 5 catches, 56 yards, and the hat trick with 3 touchdowns. As for Russell Wilson of the Broncos, 223 passing, a touchdown, no picks, a rushing score, and a fumble. And Lil Jordan Humphreys had a touchdown catch on the night. So it was a lopsided victory for the Lions. They bounced back from their recent loss. They're now 10-4 on the season. The offense, 463 total. The run game went off for 185. They were 5-10 on third down. They had 6 total touchdowns for 42 points, and they also protected the ball. Goff did a great job not turning the ball over, which resulted in a win. As for the defense, 2 sacks, 1 fumble, allowed just 17 points. They bounced back too after having a rough outing the last couple of games. And, it's a good game and a good win overall for this team. A lot to look forward to for them. And as for the Broncos, they were just lackluster though. The offense, 306 total, ran for 83. And outside of that fumble, I thought they were all right on offense, but the defense sold them out. 2 sacks, no turnovers. They allowed 460 plus yards for 42 points. They were gashed against the run as well. The Broncos defense we've been seeing recently reverted back to that awful Broncos defense that we've seen in the beginning of the season. And the head coach, Sean Payton, he expressed his frustrations, screaming at Russell Wilson on the sidelines. Broncos are 7-7, and now things get dicey for them in the AFC playoff picture. On to the Sunday games. The Saints beat the Giants 24-6. Derek Carr, 218 passing, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Jawan Johnson, Jimmy Graham, and Keith Kirkwood all had touchdown catches. And as for the Giants rookie, Tommy DeVito, 177 passing, no touchdowns, no picks. But he left the game momentarily for concussion protocol, but thankfully he returned. Darius Slayton, 4 catches, 63 yards. So a big win for the Saints as they're now tied for first place in the NFC South with a 7-7 record. The offense, 305 total, 87 rushing yards, 6-12 on third down, no turnovers. Derek Carr played great. He only had 5 incomplete passes. They outscored the Giants 17-0 in the second half. In the defense, they didn't force any turnovers. They had 7 sacks, didn't give up a touchdown, allowed 6 points for 250 yards. and just a dominant win all around for the Saints. As for the Giants, not so dominant. The offense, 250 total yards. They couldn't run the ball with just 60 yards, 2 of 16 on third down. As I mentioned, no touchdowns and only 6 points. The O-line was very bad this game. The defense had 1 sack, but they couldn't force a turnover and were bad against third down. The Giants' 3-game win streak is snapped, and they fall to 5-9. Next, the Browns beat the Bears 20-17. Joe Flacco, 374 passing, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. David Njoku, 10 catches for 104 and a touchdown. And Amari Cooper, 4 catches, 109 and a touchdown. As for Justin Fields, 166 passing, a touchdown, 2 picks. Cole Kmet had a touchdown catch on the day. So the Browns overcame a lot of adversity in this game to go to 9-5 as they get the win. Early in the second quarter, Flacco throws a pick, his first of the game. It's returned to the Browns' 2-yard line. The Bears score. The next Browns possession, Flacco's able to bounce back to tie the game up with a touchdown. And then to start the third quarter, a drop pass turns into a Bears pick 6, and the Bears would lead 14-7 after Flacco's second pick. The Bears field goal gives them a 17-7 lead late in the third, and then disaster strikes for the Bears with a muff punt. But luckily for them, Flacco throws his third pick inside Bears territory. And to start the fourth, the Browns defense really stepped up. They stopped the Bears on 4th and 1. The Browns would capitalize with a field goal to make it a 17-10 game. The Browns came up big again. They force a sack, and then they force a Bears punt. And then with 3 minutes remaining, Flacco hits Amari Cooper for a huge touchdown to tie it 17-17. Under 2 minutes to play, the Browns kick a field goal to take a 20-17 lead. The Bears get one more crack at it with 30 seconds to go. Justin Fields hoists a Hail Mary. The Browns defender knocks it into the Bears wide receiver's hands, Darnell Mooney. He has it, but it bounces in the air and is picked, and then that seals the win for the Browns. So the Browns were able to overcome a 10-point deficit in the fourth, overcame all 3 Flacco's picks that led to 17 points for the Bears. And the offense, they couldn't run the ball 29 yards. They were bad on third down, but they had 3 turnovers, like I said, but they finished with 405 total yards. Flacco was absolutely amazing down the stretch. And as for the defense, they had 3 sacks, 2 picks, allowed under 260 yards for 17 points. And Flacco is just doing his best job to secure the Browns a playoff spot in the AFC. Great move picking him up by the Browns. But as for the Bears, they had this game in the bag and it slipped away. The offense, 254 total. They ran for 88, 4 of 18 on third down, 0 of 2 on fourth down, dropped a game-winning Hail Mary pass. The muffed punt. That didn't lead to any points for the Browns, but it also did not help the Bears in that situation. The defense had 4 sacks. They had 3 picks, 1 for a pick 6. But they folded at the end. They folded in the fourth quarter. Bears are now 5-9 on the season. Next game, Panthers beat the Falcons 9-7. The rookie Bryce Young, 167 passing, no touchdowns, no picks. Chuba Hubbard, 87 rushing yards. As for Desmond Ridder, 152 passing, a touchdown, a pick. Cordell Patterson with a touchdown catch. So the Panthers rain on their divisional rivals parade, quite literally, because it was pouring rain in Carolina. And they get the win. They snap their 6-game losing streak and they're 2-12. The offense, 296 total. They ran for 129. And most importantly, they didn't turn the ball over. As for the defense, they didn't get a sack, but they had a huge fumble and an interception. They allowed less than 210 yards for just 7 points. And the kicker, Eddie Pinheiro, the MVP of the game, 3 for 3 on field goals, including the game-winning field goal, and he accounted for all 9 of the Panthers' points. Tickets to this game were selling for 45 cents. That's right, 45 cents they were selling for. Nobody still showed up, but you know what? Their fault, because they missed out on a Panthers win. This was an embarrassing loss for the Falcons. They could basically kiss their playoff hopes goodbye. The offense, 204 total. They couldn't run the ball with 52 yards. They had 2 turnovers that led to 6 points for the Panthers, one being an interception inside of Panthers territory that led to the game-winning field goal. The defense had 3 sacks, but they couldn't force a turnover or stop the run, and they are now 6-8. The Bucs beat the Packers 34-20. Baker Mayfield, 381 passing, 4 touchdowns, no picks, 1 fumble. Chris Godwin, 10 catches for 155. Mike Evans with a touchdown catch, and Rachaad White, 89 rushing yards and a receiving touchdown. Jordan Love, 284 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and a fumble. The rookie Jaden Reed, 6 catches, 52 yards and a touchdown, and the rookie Tucker Kraft with a touchdown catch. So the Bucs go into Lambeau Field and get a huge win. They now won 3 straight games. They're 7-7 and are rolling. The offense, 480 total. They had 99 yards on the ground. They were 7-11 on third down. And Baker becomes the first QB in NFL history with a perfect passer rating at Lambeau Field. The passer rating is 158.3. And as for the defense, 2 sacks, a fumble, 2 big fourth down stops. The Bucs now lead the NFC South. This was a tough loss for the Packers at home. The offense, 394 total. Bad run game, just 60 yards. They were good on third down going 6-12, but they were bad on fourth down going 0 for 2. The defense had 5 sacks, 1 fumble, but they gave up close to 500 yards, and they also surrendered 34 points. And this loss does not help the Packers' playoff hopes, as they are now 6-8. Next game, Dolphins beat the Jets 30-0. Tua Tagovailoa, 224 passing, a touchdown, no picks. Jalen Waddle, 8 catches, 142 and a touchdown. Raheem Mostert, 2 rushing scores. As for Zach Wilson, 26 passing yards, no touchdowns, no picks, a fumble, and he left with a concussion. So in comes Trevor Siemian, 110 passing, no touchdowns, 2 picks, and a fumble. And Garrett Wilson, 3 catches for just 29 yards. So even with Tyreek Hill out, the Dolphins still blow out the Jets. They sweep their division rival on the season and are now 10-4. The offense, 305 total with 77 rushing yards. They played a clean game with no turnovers. The defense had 6 sacks, 2 picks, 2 fumbles, allowed less than 160 yards for 0 points as they pitch a shutout. All around a dominant performance, but the opposite of dominance was the Jets. The offense, 159 total, just 23 rushing yards, 5-13 on third down, 0 for 2 on fourth down, 4 total turnovers, 0 points. The defense had 3 sacks, couldn't force a turnover. They got 30 dropped on them and no help from the offense. The Jets are now 5-9 and are officially eliminated from the playoffs. The Chiefs beat the Patriots 27-17. Pat Mahomes, 305 passing, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. The rookie Rashee Rice, 9 catches, 91 yards, and a touchdown. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he had 4 catches, 64 yards, and a touchdown. And Jerick McKinnon had a receiving and passing touchdown. As for Bailey Zappi, 180 passing, a touchdown, and a pick. Hunter Henry, 7 catches, 66 yards, and a touchdown. So the Chiefs get a bounce-back win that they for sure needed. Sorry, excuse me. And they are now 9-5. The offense had their moments of ugliness, such as drop passes leading to picks, and only ran for 43 yards, but they finished with 352 total. The defense, 4 sacks, a pick, allowed less than 235. And as I said earlier, the Chiefs needed this win to feel good, and they got it done. And as for the Pats, they hung on majority of the game, but couldn't pull the upset. The offense, 232 total, ran for 52, 2 of 12 on third down, just looked abysmal like they've had all season. The defense had 3 sacks, 2 picks, but yet again, no help from the offense. And the Pats tumbled to 3-11 and are officially eliminated from the playoffs. The next game, they beat the Titans 19-16 in OT. Case Keenum, 229 passing, a touchdown, a pick. Noah Brown, 8 catches, 82 yards, and a touchdown. Devin Singletary, 121 rushing. As for the rookie Will Levis, 199 passing, no touchdowns, a pick, and a rushing score. Treylon Burks, 3 catches for 62 yards. So no CJ Stroud for the Texans, no problem. They moved to 8-6 with backup quarterback Case Keenum leading the way. They win an overtime thriller on the road, and they beat their divisional opponent after trailing 13-0 at one point in the game. No CJ Stroud, as I mentioned, no Nico Collins, no Tank Dell. Texans get it done. Case Keenum shook off an early pick 6 and made plays later in the game to result in a victory. The offense, 377 total. They ran all over for 148. They did this with a lot of starters missing, and as for their defense, 7 sacks, 1 pick, allowed less than 270 yards for 16 points. And shout out to Kyle Fairbairn, 4 for 4 on field goals, including the game winner in OT. And the Texans, they're now tied for first place in the AFC South. And as for the Titans, things went well until they didn't. They were outscored 19-3 in the second half in overtime. The offense, 265 total. They had 66 rushing yards. Derrick Henry only had 9 rushing yards. The O-line had a brutal game as well. Gave up a bunch of sacks. They couldn't run block. The kicker missed an extra point. Maybe the result would be different if he made it. The defense, 4 sacks, a pick 6, but was awful against the runs. The Titans go to 5-9, and with that loss are eliminated from the playoffs. Next game, Niners beat the Cardinals 45-29. Brock Purdy, 242 passing, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Christian McCaffrey, 115 rushing and a rushing score. He also had 5 catches, 72 yards for 2 touchdowns. Deebo Samuel had 2 touchdown catches. And as for Kyler Murray, the Cardinals, 211 passing, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Trey McBride, the tight end, 10 catches for 102. And James Conner, 86 rushing yards and a touchdown. So the Niners win their 6th straight game. They move to 11-3 and sweep their divisional rival for the season. 406 total yards on offense, 144 rushing, 4 of 7 on third down, 5 total touchdowns, 45 points. And no denying that Brock Purdy is definitely the heavy MVP favorite now with another stellar performance. As for the defense, 3 sacks, 2 interceptions, 1 for 6. And the Niners have an argument for the best team in the NFL right now. What they're doing is absolutely insane. As for the Cardinals, they led 7-0 at one point in the first quarter, but then got outscored 45-22. Since that, the offense did have 445 total, and they ran for 234, but they had 2 crucial picks, especially the pick 6. It swung momentum. The defense had no sacks, no turnovers. They got bullied for 400-plus yards and 39 points. The Cardinals are 3-11 and are officially eliminated from the playoffs. Next game, Rams beat the Commanders 28-20. Matt Stafford, 258 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Kyron Williams, 152 rushing, a touchdown, 2 fumbles. Cooper Kupp, 8 catches, 111, and a touchdown. Sam Howell of the Commanders, 102 passing, a touchdown, a pick, but was benched for Jacoby Brissett, who threw 124, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Terry McLaurin, 6 catches for 141 in the score, and Curtis Samuel with 2 touchdown catches. So the Rams are now 7-7 and are currently the 7th seed in the NFC playoff picture. The offense had 454 total yards. The run game went off for 196. They were 9-16 on third down. They had 23 first downs versus the Commanders' 14 first downs. The defense had a sack, a pick, and they stopped the run. And I gotta say, the Rams are heating up at the right time. They could be dangerous come playoff time. But as for the Commanders, they lost their 5th straight. Sam Howell was benched for Brissett. The offense, 305 total. Not good with the run, 79 rushing yards, 3 of 14 on third down. As for the defense, they did have 3 sacks, 2 fumbles, but they gave up 450-plus yards. They couldn't stop the run or Cooper Kupp. The Commanders now fall to 4-10 on the season and are eliminated from the playoffs. Next, the Bills beat up my Cowboys 31-10. Josh Allen, 94 passing yards, a touchdown, no picks, and a rushing score. James Cook, 179 rushing, a rushing touchdown, and a receiving touchdown. Dak Prescott of the Cowboys, 134 passing, no touchdowns, and a pick. CeeDee Lamb, 7 catches for 53 for 53 yards and a rushing score. And the Bills stay alive at 8-6 with a blowout victory against my squad. The offense, 360 total, but most of the damage was on the ground with 266 and 3 rushing scores. Third down, they were 5-9, and they had 28 first downs versus the Cowboys' 14. The defense had 3 sacks, a pick, allowed less than 215 yards for 10 points versus a good offense. And the Bills much needed this win, desperately needed it, because who knows if they'd be in the playoffs if they did lose this game. As for the Cowboys, absolutely disgusting. 213 total yards of offense. They ran for 89. 5 of 13 on third down. Only 10 points scored. The defense got slaughtered, especially against the run. They had 1 sack, but they couldn't turn the ball over. And 3 penalties gave the Bills 21 points. The first one, DeMarcus Lawrence hitting Josh Allen. Instead of settling for 3 that the Bills get new downs, they get 7 points instead. Then Sam Williams on the punt, he just runs into the Bills kicker, gives the Bills new downs, another 7 points for the Bills. And last but not least, on 2nd and 19, it would have been 3rd and 19, but Jaron Kearse, helmet to helmet, Bills get new downs, 7 more points added to it. And not to mention, Stephon Diggs fumbles the ball. The refs didn't call it, and McCarthy didn't even bother to challenge it when it was clear that he did it. And just a sloppy game. I don't know why the Cowboys are so bad on the road. Their 5-game win streak comes to an end, and they are 10-4. Next, the Ravens beat the Jags 23-7. Lamar Jackson, 171 passing, a touchdown, a pick, 97 rushing yards. Tight end Isaiah Likely, 5 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown. And Gus Edwards with a rushing score. Trevor Lawrence of the Jags, 264 passing, a touchdown, no picks, and 2 fumbles. Jamal Agnew, 2 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown. So the Ravens go on to win their 4th straight win. They now have an 11-3 record. They had 422 total yards of offense. They ran the ball down the Jags' throat for 251, as I said they would. And the defense had a sack. They had 2 fumbles. They were great against the run, and they gave up just 7 points. With this win, the Ravens officially clinch a playoff spot in the AFC, and they are currently the 1 seed. And as for the Jags, they lost this game simply on missed opportunities. 2 missed field goals leave 6 points off the board. And before the first half ended, with 30 seconds to go, there was no timeouts. Lawrence hits Zay Jones inside Ravens' 10-yard line. But instead of spiking the ball, they run another play where the where the wide receiver was tackled inbounds, runs the clock to 0. They missed another potential 3 to 7 points due to awful clock management. And last but not least, 2 fumbles by Trevor Lawrence. The first one happening inside the Ravens' 15-yard line that could have led to points. The second one happening at the Jags' own 20-yard line. And just bad performance all around. The offense, 339 total. Bad night running with 75 yards. They were 3 of 13 on third down. They scored 7 points and shot themselves in the foot numerous times. The defense had 3 sacks, a pick, but they gave up 400-plus yards and could not stop the run. The Jags dropped their 3rd straight game. They're 8-6. They still have first place in the AFC South, but the Texans and Colts are both 8-6, and they're lurking right behind them. The next game is the Monday night game. This is the final game of the week. The Seahawks beat the Eagles 20-17. Drew Lock, 208 passing, a touchdown, no picks. Kenneth Walker, 86 rushing yards in the score. And the rookie Jackson Smith-Njigba had the game-winning touchdown catch. As for Jalen Hurts of the Eagles, 143 passing, no touchdowns, 2 picks. He also had 82 rushing yards for 2 TDs. And DeAndre Swift had 74 rushing yards. So the Seahawks snapped their 4-game losing streak in epic fashion, to say the least, on Monday night to become 7-7. They trailed 10-0 early, but it's not about how you start, it's how you finish. And they finished better than they started. They were down 17-13 with under 2 minutes remaining and 1 timeout left. The backup quarterback, Drew Lock, he's filling in for the injured starter, Geno Smith. Takes the offense 92 yards for the game-winning score with seconds to spare. Lock hit DK Metcalf on a big 3rd down conversion to keep the drive alive, and then he hits the rookie Jackson Smith-Njigba on 3rd and 10 for the game-winning score. Just an epic way to win. As a Cowboys fan, I can't thank you guys enough for beating the Eagles. It makes our beatdown against the Bills sting just a little bit less. And it's been 15-plus years since the Eagles beat the Seahawks, and it looks like more years are added on. The offense, 308 total, 100 rushing yards. Wasn't pretty on 3rd down, going 6 of 14, but solid on 3rd down in the game-winning touchdown drive. They also didn't turn the ball over. The defense had no sacks, but they had 2 picks in the 4th quarter that helped seal the win for this game. And the Seahawks, they came into this game hungry. They were desperate for a win, and they got it done because their season depended on it. And just due to winning this game, they still have a shot at the potential playoff spot in the NFC. The Eagles did everything right, but they blew this game down the stretch. They outgained the Seahawks in total yards. They controlled the clock, the time of possession. They had 23 first downs while the Seahawks had 16. However, they didn't win the turnover battle. Hurts had 2 costly turnovers in the 4th, as I mentioned earlier. The offense had 321 total yards, 178 on the ground, 9 of 16 on 3rd down. But as I mentioned, those 2 late-game interceptions. The defense, 2 sacks, but they couldn't force a turnover. They had some costly penalties, and they let Drew Lock drive all the way downfield, 92 yards for the game winner in under 2 minutes. And just a lot of trouble in Philly right now, and I absolutely love it. They dropped to 10-4. They get their 3rd straight loss, but sadly, they still clinch a playoff spot, even with the loss. So that's it for the Week 15 recap. Let me know what you guys think was your favorite game, your least favorite, your favorite moments. Did your team win? Did they lose? Just chat with me. I always love feedback. And don't forget, subscribe to this exact YouTube channel. Follow me below on my Instagram page. And last but not least, take care. Have a wonderful night.